From Studio A at 1 Biloxi Square in Fort Worth, Texas, this is the Grandpa and Pappy Show.
My God, and hoopty-doopty, amigo.
One more time.
One more time.
Let's do it one more time.
But wait.
But wait, there's more. Hey, welcome in, everyone, to the Grandpa and Pappy Show, the only show in podcast world that gives you, our viewers, an opportunity to cast your opinion with us on questions of the day. And today, Pappy, we have quite a serious show to talk about because of the things going on not only in our great country of America, but in the world. And we'll just jump right into it and tell you about the war that's going on in Ukraine with Russia. And it's getting more and more serious every day. And I just can't say enough about the Ukrainian people that are taking a stand against the aggressors, the Russians.
Tough enough and up to snuff, those folks are.
Yeah.
God bless each and every one over there.
And I've told you so many times, it's just reminiscent to me of the time when Texas was fighting for its independence. They were outgunned, outmanned at every turn.
Remember
but yet,
the Alamo.
That's right. They stood up, and even though all of the defenders perished in the Alamo, they bought him 13 days for Houston to get his army together.
John Wayne lived, though.
Yeah. No, he didn't either. Not in that one.
Oh, okay.
He was Davy Crockett.
Jiminy Cricket, huh?
Yeah. But anyway, it just reminds me that even though they're outmanned and outgunned, they have the courage and the fortitude to stand up against people invading their country.
True patriots.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And that brought us to thinking about what a lot of folks are thinking about today. What would you do if a foreign country actually invaded the United States of America? You remember that movie Red Dawn?
I do.
Yeah.
No.
Those teenagers?
No.
Yeah.
They're little badasses.
They bad boys and girls. Yes, they were.
They had to be.
They had to be. Exactly correct. But
they ain't giving up my skateboard.
And the reason we asked this question today, there was a poll that was released last week by Quinnipiac, and they interviewed 300 Republicans and 300 Democrats, so they'd have the same amount.
Yeah.
They asked the same questions.
Yeah.
But here's how it came out. If your country was invaded, would you stand and fight?
Yeah.
52% of Democrats said no, they would not. They would move out of the country.
I'm surprised that number wasn't higher.
And 68% of Republicans said yes, we will stand and fight.
Damn Skippy.
So that tells you that all of these panty-waist left-wingers who are trying to get all of our country just completely different from the way we grew up and the values that we share, they're trying to get rid of them. They're the first ones that's going to run.
You know, and when I ask certain people, I'm not going to say person.
Safety. We think safety here on the show.
Safety's on, that's right. All I get is, well, I really don't want to talk about that, you know.
Can you see, just imagine AOC with a gun?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
She'd probably shoot her foot off.
Probably hold it backwards. Maybe I'll send her one of mine.
Well, with that in mind, and thinking along those lines in a very serious manner, we ask you, our great viewers out there, what would you do if your country was invaded? Would you stand your ground?
And those of you out there in podcast land that knows both myself and Grandpa over here probably already know the answer to how we feel about it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't, I'll just leave it at my powder is very dry.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Mine too.
Absolutely.
Mine too.
Absolutely.
Well, let's take a look at what you guys had to say on this very serious subject, which will actually question your patriotism on how you feel about our great country.
Yep.
Our good friend George Schultz told us, I took an oath in 1974 to defend against foreign and domestic. If you won't fight, There's the border.
There's the border. Don't let the doorknob hit you where the
Don't
good
let
Lord.
that gate hit you in the ass
And
on
I'll
the
tell
way
you
out.
what, if you got trouble going through the door, old George will boot you in the ass and make sure you get to the other side.
The field goal is good.
Because the boy don't play when it comes to his patriotic ways.
He does not.
Tommy Hammond told us that every veteran that has served this great country would not hesitate to take up arms again and defend our country against invasion. Well said, Tommy. We may be older and not be able to move as fast, but we're still pretty good shots. So yes, I would stand and fight. And Tommy, I know 2 amigos right here that would be standing right beside you doing it, brother.
Yes, sir, and we know a lot of folks that would be doing that very same thing.
Absolutely.
James O'Donnell down in Alba, Texas, says America is already being invaded, but yes, I will fight. And Jerry Yates said, absolutely, without a question, America is my home.
And you know what, James has got a good point, because in my mind, of course, I've been wrong before.
Really?
But I might be mistaken about that too. I think it was a deep planted seed from long ago that started all this crap. You know,
It could be.
about the time the New World Order doo-doo came about, you know. So that's just me.
That's true.
Patricia Green said, not only will the men stand and fight, but I believe all the women who served in the armed forces would make a stand.
Yes,
I
they
would
would.
bet money on that.
Yes, I would too.
The citizens of Ukraine have shown the world what real patriotism is all about.
There's that word again, patriotism.
And you are absolutely right, Patricia. God bless them all.
Our good friend Jerry Blum said, I'm too old and fat to run, but I'll be where I'm needed to help out, and you know he would.
Yeah.
James Mann told us that any red-blooded American who would not stand and defend our homeland is not worthy enough to live in this country. The same goes to all of those who came to this country for its ideals and opportunities. They should also stand and resist.
You know,
And I believe they would.
Big Jerry, he's not one to piss off either.
No.
I mean, all he got to do is look in any corner of whatever room he's in, and you'll have about 4,000 badasses on your back. He knows what I mean.
Yes, he does.
Tammy Doll Young, Cindy Gail Roberts Thomas, and David Godso all said they absolutely would fight. Matt Bannister says, hell yes. No explanation required. he would be right at the front of the pack, old man.
There you go.
Yeah.
Paul Whitaker told us it may come to that point, and if the leadership in our country doesn't wake up, it may come sooner than later. What we were talking about, Pappy. The silent majority in this country is made up of hardworking, patriotic people who really love this country the way it is.
Yeah.
It will be the silent majority who will fall on their knees begging for mercy or leave this country. They're a bunch of cowards.
You know, that all falls. Go ahead. What you got, Kimber?
I don't think he meant the silent majority who fall on their knees. I think he meant the opposite side. Because he said silent majority would be the hardworking patriots would fight. But then he also says silent majority will fall on their knees begging for mercy. So that makes no sense.
I think he meant to say the minority people on the left.
The left. That's what I
Yeah.
think he meant to say. I'm just clarifying.
Well, and you know, when you've got big boomers falling from the sky and gun barrels pointed at you, that kind of changes your demeanor quite a bit.
It do.
Did me, but I'm still here willing to fight.
There you go.
Up in Wyoming, my cousin Russell Curlin said, "Yep, this is my home.
Hello, Wyoming.
I've fought on someone else's ground, and I will have good reason this time around here. Besides, I'm too fat and slow to run." Marty Blackwell Briscoe says, "Yes, I will stand and fight."
Yeah,
Well said, guys.
absolutely. David Harvey from over in East Texas in Greenville said most definitely he would fight. Penny Steele says, yes, this is my home, and I will protect it. Joe Mosier said, give me liberty or give me death. I will fight for our freedom.
I tell you what, I know Joe Mosier quite well. I grew up with this guy. He is my pseudo brother. I mean, I've known him since junior high school.
Junior high.
And that boy he'll put a fight up. I guarantee you that. To close out segment 1 of this week's show, Tony Haha said, "I will lead with lead." Bob Baker says, "I thought we were already being invaded, or did I miss something?" John Rockholt said, "Absolutely," and Emmett Hartsfield said, "Yes, sir, I will fight." James Ramsey told us, "Anyone not willing to fight for the rights and freedom of our country on our home ground is not worthy of being an American."
So you can see there's a lot of folks that will stand and fight and what it means to be free.
And James, I agree wholeheartedly with that, brother.
Absolutely.
That's well said, my friend.
Well, we'll have to wait and see what the next few weeks play out over in Ukraine and how the world is going to react. It should be very interesting.
Oh, yeah.
And I pray to God every night that he'll bring that to a close and get back to peace.
And you know, amigo, people don't realize the long-term and multiple effects that something of this nature has on our homeland.
That is correct.
I mean, even if we weren't involved, people listening to the media crap day in and day out and not knowing who to trust or believe. I mean, there's bloodshed on the streets right now. People killing each other.
Yeah,
you know? I mean,
that's
high school kids.
I saw that,
You know,
yeah.
What the hell, you know?
Well, I'll tell you what, it gives you, Karen, what you got?
Well, I was just going to say that right now, as of today, the Russian army or military, it's kind of stalled out, other than Mariupol. And now they're talking that it could be as serious as chemical war or nuclear
Weapon.
weapons
That'll be a
being
bad
used.
mistake for
Very
Mr.
bad
Rootin'
mistake.
That's
Putin.
why they're having the G7 summit today, which
Yeah.
hope and pray that our bumbling person
You mean the king bee?
Sitting up there in the high chair.
doesn't make a
he
A
made
of
it this
himself. Anyway,
Well, hopefully they can get it straight now because NATO gets involved, and if there's any chemical warfare or atomic energy being spewed everywhere, Russia's going to get hit from a lot of sides.
Yes, they will.
And
Yes, they will.
And I have a feeling China's going to go, "Oh, we were only joking,
We're just talking.
Papa Sam Putin."
Well, I'll tell you what, that is a serious subject. Another thing that's getting under a lot of people's craw is the high cost of gas, and we've talked about it here in the last couple of weeks, but it's just getting funnier and funnier because the Democrats are blaming all of our high gas prices on Russia's premier, Vladimir Putin.
You mean Trump didn't get to call on this?
So we ask you, our
Christ.
great listeners, what your thoughts were on that very subject, and we'll take a look at that and much more coming up when the Grandpa and Pappy Show continue right after this.
Right after this.
And here is the kitchen.
When searching for a luxury home, you can't always be there in person. But a RE/MAX agent can help you every step of the way.
Oh my gosh.
We're back.
We are back, and we're going to jump into this segment very quickly because there was a lot of opinions expressed. And
Some
we want to
very
tell you
colorful.
that the opinions that Pappy and I express on this program are ours. They're ours.
Yeah.
They're not yours, even though a lot of the way we think is the way you think.
But I'm willing to loan you a few of my opinions if you're willing to hear them.
Absolutely. Now,
Okay.
talking about the high gas prices, is high gas prices Putin's fault, like the Democrats are saying and the major news channels are saying? I came across an article. I didn't have a chance to transcribe it, but I have it here on my phone. I want to read this to you. We could be so energy independent, it ain't even funny.
Oh, absolutely.
And it all came out. There was a program about 6 months ago, a news program on oil, and one of the Forbes brothers was the guest, and the host asked Forbes a direct question. I'm going to ask you a direct question, and I'd like a direct answer. How much oil does the U.S. have in the ground? Forbes did not miss a beat. He said more than all of the Middle East put together.
Absolutely.
Now, there was a Geological Service survey in April of 2008 that only scientists and oil men knew that was coming, but it was revised in a report that hasn't been updated since 1995 on how much oil
I wonder why.
was in this area of western two-thirds of North Dakota, west South Dakota, and extreme eastern Montana. Now I'm going to skip some of this.
Texas got a pine box full of that stuff, man.
The Bakken is the largest domestic oil discovery since Alaska's Prudhoe Bay and has the potential to eliminate all American dependence on foreign oil. Now, the Energy Information Administration estimates that 503 billion barrels, even if just 10% of the oil is recoverable, meaning 5 billion barrels at $107 a barrel, we're looking at a resource of 5.3 trillion. And he said when he first presented this to legislators, their jaws hit the floor. They had no idea. Now, let me skip down here a little bit because he got into, and we now have access of up to 500 billion barrels, and because this is light, sweet oil, those billions of barrels will cost Americans just $16 per barrel. That's enough crude to fully fuel the American economy, listen to this, Pappy, for 2,041 years straight.
Damn.
And if that didn't throw you on the floor, the next one should. The U.S. oil discovery of the largest reserve in the world, Stansberry report online said hidden 1,000 feet beneath the surface of the Rocky Mountains lies the largest untapped oil reserve in the entire world.
That is I've heard that for years.
It is more than 2 trillion barrels.
Hello.
On August 8, 2005, President Bush then mandated its extraction. In many recent years of oil prices being so high, none has been extracted for some reason. If we just tapped in to what I just read you, this is what they're saying. Here is, it would be 8 times as much oil as all of Saudi Arabia, 18 times as much oil as Iraq, 21 times as much oil as Kuwait, 22 times as much oil as Iran, and 500 times as much oil as Yemen.
And think about it. You'd be able to leave your Lamborghinis and Maseratis out in the desert over running out of gas and go buy a new one.
Yeah.
I mean,
But I tell you, it's just such a simplified thing that Biden could.
Production companies, and I want you to disagree and research this for yourself. Production companies are still drilling. Why are they drilling? If you don't think there's an agenda behind all this, you cray-cray.
Well, let's see what you guys thought about the question of the day. Is the high gas prices really Putin's fault? Well, Bobby James Williams said, "Are you kidding? Putin didn't cause this mess. It was Biden's administration. How do you go from being energy independent and exporting energy to begging the world to sell us oil? Trump understood what makes America go, but Biden's liberal left-wingers have convinced him to put our energy on the shelf. So no, it all lies in Biden's court."
Well, and somebody had mentioned in a previous show that it doesn't start and stop. I mean, in reference to what we're discussing, the subject,
That's true.
with the administration. Well, they've got the strings to pull, you know.
That's true.
They're told what to do, and they do it. Big Matt Bannister said, "Nope." It started was before that, but after Trump left office, the common denominator is Biden, which I agree with, man. Paul Thomas agreed, saying, "You damn right it's Biden's fault without a doubt. There is no common sense in this administration."
There's those two words again. Bam. Patty Winston told us that as much as we would like to blame Putin for a lot of things, we can't blame high gas prices on him this time. Biden did cut off oil from Russia, but instead of giving, instead of giving our oil and gas companies the go-ahead to produce, he is instead relying on foreign countries, some of which are our sworn enemies, to sell us oil.
Yeah.
He's making them rich while America suffers. Come on, Mr. President, do the right thing and allow us to produce our own energy.
And not the windmill kind.
That's right, not the windmill kind.
Juliana Thixton Payravy said it's all Biden's fault. Alexander Schmidtneck asked Julia, well, you give me all these hard words to say it. Asked Juliana if he is a reason it is so expensive everywhere else in the world too. Let me read that again. Alexander Schmidtneck asked Julia if he is the reason. Why is it so expensive
everywhere else in the world
yeah.
too?
Oh yeah.
Come on, guys, get it together.
Maybe I need to try it for a third time. Jill Harmon Kearns then answered Alexander by saying, "Look here, groceries, empty shelves, gas, electric, insurance, and medical care. Don't give me that it's not him. It wasn't that way before him."
Yeah,
That's
this
very profound statement.
spurred a lively debate. Alexander then came back to ask Jill if it could possibly be that of corporate greed. And Jill said, "Really?" Laughed my ass off. If it was, why wasn't it that way 2 years ago? He and Harris are the worst duo ever. So they went on with a respectful debate, and we appreciate that very much.
Corporate greed has always been around. They were making plenty buku bucks even back then. So.
Yeah.
Robert Silas said, "No, it's not Putin's fault at all. We're all missing the big picture here. Prices are dictated by supply and demand.
That's correct.
And if Biden has cut off America's energy supply, then those prices are going to go through the roof," which is exactly what we're experiencing right now. Yes, energy companies will profit this year because they have to keep their business going, and with less supply to work with, well, guess what? They raise their prices.
Mm-hmm. Supply and demand.
Well,
it's right there.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's kind of the word gouging is in there somewhere, I'm sure.
Well, I'm sure it is. James O'Donnell seemed to agree by saying it doesn't help, but of course, it isn't all his fault. Make no mistake, at the end of 2022, the oil and gas companies will post record profits.
Absolutely.
Alicia Evans Pruitt said she can somewhat agree with James, but the bottom line lies with Biden putting major restrictions on our energy companies.
Good way to look at it right there.
Good way.
Russell Carlin said, "No, it's not Putin's fault. All the executive orders started the rise in prices now. The way that Demtard is handling Ukraine and Russia has just made it worse." Thomas Ellison agreed with Russell, saying that, "By God, that's telling it like it is there, Russ." I agree with you there, bud.
Absolutely. Joey Thiebaud told us, "I don't think it is any one man's fault. I think it's the greedy world corporations pushing their own agenda and paying the politicians who work for them." Sheila Thomas said, "That is very sensible." Just like you were talking about.
My God. Mitch Wood said it's not Putin's fault. Gas has steadily gone up since Biden took office. He's doing everything he can to completely shut down our oil. It is all being intentionally done. James Reasoner said yes to Mitch Wood. "We have so much oil reserves in this country to last three lifetimes and still provide oil to our allies, not our enemies."
That's exactly
and it's
correct.
just like Grandpa mentioned earlier. How many years? 21.
2,041 years straight.
That ought to be enough to get me to my grave.
I think so. We're running short of time today because we've had two very interesting subjects. We'll close out this edition by Jason Avery, who said, "All of the left-wingers are so worried about the environment. Let me give you a little inside information. The oil being refined in the good old USA is the cleanest, most pure oil found in the world.
That's a fact.
Our emission numbers are far below the guidelines, and we are the cleanest in the world. Russia's oil is dirty oil, and so is Iran and Saudi Arabia. It takes more to refine these oils than it does American oil. So the fault doesn't lie with Putin. It lies with a president with no fortitude to do the right thing for the majority of Americans.
That's a pine box full of bygones right there.
I'm telling you, you and I have talked about that very thing on numerous occasions.
Let me tell you this, Jason, real quick. I used to work in an oil field related business from time to time. I was in what is known as the Austin Chalk area here, which comes straight out of the Permian Basin, and I have witnessed firsthand oil coming up, and it was so rich in gold. I mean, it looked like honey, literally like honey, like you could pour it on a biscuit, right? Guess what they did? They capped the damn well at about 3,200 feet. So
Now, there you go.
there you go.
So he knows what he's talking about
does,
there.
yeah.
He sure does. Let's take a look at some of the viewer comments that we got in this week. And the first one, we just laughed my butt off. Mike Simmons. Mike, thank you for this. It made me laugh all of putting this show together because I kept thinking about it. Mike Simmons posted on Instagram that he watched last week's show on flatulence and couldn't believe we had the balls to do it. My cousin told me to watch it, and I laughed till my sides hurt. I think we all had relatives or times when a good fart was funny.
Just like Pops used to say, nothing better than a well-timed fart. That'll change the subject every time if you don't like what's being said.
Ain't it so?
Thomas Redding said, I just subscribed to your channel after watching a few shows on YouTube. We appreciate that, Thomas. Welcome aboard. I think it's great that everyday people have a place to voice their opinions without fear of being shut off. Good job, guys.
Absolutely. I like that.
Thank you, Thomas, and welcome aboard, my friend.
And finally, Marilyn Walters, I beg your pardon, Marilyn, forgive me. Marilyn Walters said, I saw your tribute to your show's mascot, and it made me tear up. I remember her making surprise visits to some of your shows. I'm so sad for you all. And yes, we do miss our Miss Dolly.
Quite a few tears flowing around the old studio.
Absolutely.
I miss my baby girl, I do.
Yes, she was something else.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, if you'd like to take part in the Grandpa and Pappy show and give us your opinions on questions of the day that we ask, we highly encourage it. And it's very easy
How
for
they
you to
gonna
get.
do that?
Yes, they can do
yeah.
that very easy. They can go to our website or our email site at grandpaandpappy@gmail.com.
Pretty simple, pimple.
Or
you can even hit us up directly on the show website page, which can be found at www.grandpaandthenpappy.com. That's grandpaandpappy.com, where you'll see what there, amigo.
the big red button.
Oh, big red. Just push that sucker, man. Subscribe. It won't cost you a plug nickel, not even a bent penny.
Just like Mike Simmons did, yeah.
Absolutely. That's
Good
right.
job.
And we appreciate that.
Absolutely. Or you can go onto our Grandpa and Pappy Facebook group page where you'll see 95% of all of the opinions that we read here on the show.
Edited some of them.
Absolutely.
That's right.
We appreciate you taking time out of your day today to join us, and hopefully you learned something or you formed an opinion based on what we were talking about. We apologize to those opinions that we ran out of time and couldn't get to.
We'll get them back in the comment section.
We will come back on this because I have a feeling it's not over with yet.
That's right.
So anyway, we end every show by telling you to reach out and hug your kids and let them know that you love them.
Let them know that they're well loved right here at the Grandpa and Pappy Show too. By God.
Absolutely.
Take care of one another.
Don't cost nothing.
Nah.
It really doesn't.
Besides, that's about all we got left.
That's right. Take care of one another. Be good to one another. God bless you. God bless America. Until we see you again, take care, and we'll see you then.
See you next week.
Bye-bye.